Hey y'all, so I just wanted to come on here and give some brief, kind of lengthy thoughts about Married to Medicine season 12 reunion. So let's talk about the main event, which is the Toya Bush Harris and Eugene Harris versus Dr. Mimi and Steve. First and foremost, I'm on the fence when it comes to how I receive and digest Dr. Mimi and Steve as reality stars. When they came on last season as Sweet Tea and Dr. G's friends, I really enjoyed them. I did clock, if you are familiar with my perspectives and reviews, that I could tell that Steve really enjoyed being on camera and being in the mix, but they were cool. Now, what I did not like is how Mimi was quick to switch up on Sweet Tea when she was able to observe and discern that the group was leaning more towards King and Quad's side when it came to that whole situation that went down wherever they was vacationing at, and they ended up getting into it on the beach. So ever since then, I'm like, okay, I see Mimi, there's some ish there with her. Whatever. Now, I am a day one viewer of Married to Medicine. I'm talking about season one pilot episode. I have never, it has been a consistent, nuanced, objective. I'm not aligned with the way in which Toya shows up. Now, Toya and Eugene are semi, or they used to be one of my favorite couples because at least you knew what you were getting with them and they were very consistent with their presentation. They gave a upper middle class Black American family, the first in their families individually coming together as a union to be able to come into the level of wealth that they came into. And this was shown with, like, within the first three seasons, they owed over $150,000 in taxes, and they were very open about that. You had Toya forcing Eugene to rent this big, massive mansion of some girl who I think was married to some basketball player, and they wanted to sublease the home. And then Eugene was like, Toya, we're sitting in our biggest bill. We need to move. And she had an attitude. Then once they finally paid the taxes off, they threw a party for being back in the black. And then they bought some land to build a house, which was, it was a beautiful house, had this big 3-story walk-in closet, beautiful, like really beautiful. Did a big housewarming, put Bible scriptures in the foundation and everything, and then within a year they were selling it. And Funky Dineva has spilt that tea along with other people on the internet that they had liens and all types of stuff, and allegedly they had begged, borrowed, and stole to get that house finished. I think the pool was the missing piece, and they had borrowed some money and whatnot. So Toya and Dr. Eugene have historically lived above their means, and I think where they always have shot themselves in the foot is that they would always stand in a stained glass house and throw stones. From the first episode, first season, in the opening scene where Mariah Huck was having the mixer, Toya got that ish started with Quad by saying, well, why your husband send us a text talking about the wedding is off and then y'all go ahead and get married? She started that whole thing. Toya has always been uncouth and lacking in discernment on when to approach someone, how to approach someone, and if it's even necessary for her to communicate what she ends up saying that usually lights a fuse, and then she plays victim when she gets burnt by all the sparks of the fire that she started. This situation, in my opinion, despite me feeling like, Steve and Dr. Mimi give a bit of try hard, I did not like this season when Dr. Mimi walked up to Brandy, a grown ass woman with 4 kids, and tried to dictate, like, you need to pick a side, or you need to be careful who you rolling with. I thought that was real childish and real high school, especially since Dr. Mimi tries to be like a Dr. Jackie knockoff with her degree in psychiatry. I really did not care for that. In addition to that, when it comes to the Toya and Mimi situation and Steve and Dr. Eugene, I am leaning more towards Dr. Mimi and Dr. Steve because I think what a lot of people are missing, Toya sat down with Carlos King a day or two before they shot that reunion. And if you go back and watch that interview she did, a lot of people got caught up in her addressing that scene where they filmed at her house for the A Day in the Life of Toya Skip Work With Me, and she blew up, and that's what everybody was paying attention to. But I think what flew over a lot of people's heads is that Toya sat there and insinuated in covert and shady ways that Steve had some sugar in his tank. If you go back and watch it, I'm pretty sure that came across Dr. Mimi and Steve's desk. It was right before the reunion. They could not have sat down and did that interview, Dr. Eugene, excuse me, and Toya with Carlos King no less than 48 hours before the reunion. And I really feel like it was the day before. So I think that's why Steve is coming in hot, because when you compound the pettiness that was happening this season, where Toya intentionally wasn't including Brandy, who's supposed to be her friend, didn't want to include Angel, didn't want to include Dr. Mimi, and Dr. Mimi was there the year before, and Steve purchased a small glass bowl for $5,000. They didn't show the Met Gala last year. They just showed flashbacks of it because the main event was when they took that trip to that sandbar and they got to acting a fool out there. But if you go back and watch it, you'll see where when they finally sit down to reconvene after Phaedra left, Apollo and them left, and Sweet Tea and Dr. G left, they were like, oh, Steve has the bowl. And they flashed to the Met Gala where he bought the bowl for $5,000. It's a bowl that looked like you could freaking buy it up out of Dollar General or something. So imagine showing your loyalty to the cause, to the group, and then the following year, because Toya's in her feelings at 50 fucking years old, you want to be petty and not include my wife. So no, I'm not giving $2,500. Jackie purchased a table. And for those of us that's familiar with how these events work, you purchase a table, you bring people to the table, and then the people at the table now can give a sizable donation. Not to say that you can't purchase a table and give a sizable donation, but that's usually how it works. That's the motivation. I purchase the table, y'all come as my guests, and then, write a check. You understand? Toya and Dr. Eugene, in my opinion, are very insecure to be 50 years old and up. The problem is y'all don't like none of these people. And what they have created a prison for themselves and painted themselves into a corner of constantly being addicted to impressing people that you can't stand. And no matter how hard you try, they're not impressed with you anyways. And on top of that, they shit on you and talk about you, and they intentionally talk about the aspects of you that as humans, we all have insecurities. Y'all are insecure about. So it exasperates those insecurities because both of them lack an emotional intelligence. That's what that is. We just gonna sum it up right there, in my opinion, as a day one viewer. Y'all are too grown to be caring so much about what other grown people have to say and how they feel and think. But I get it, because your home is supposed to be your sanctuary. And you're forced to invite people into your home that otherwise you wouldn't, for a show to keep checks rolling in so that you could keep this lifestyle up that you barely can afford. And it's a prison. Y'all don't want to prove people right by leaving the show and then having to downsize to whatever income y'all still have coming in. So y'all stay on the show to keep up the facade, but the cracks are starting to show. Y'all don't like these people. Y'all don't like these people. And they don't care to tiptoe around y'all feelings. So season, 12 reunion, the whole situation that happened last night and last week.